This podcast is a member of the Place to Be Nation family. Visit us at placetobenation.com, the only place to be in your pop culture world.
From north, south, east, and west, North America, Japan, and back again, this is your home for modern-day wrestling. With the occasional trip back in time, it's Place to Be Nation's main event. Now let's head into Studio B with your host, Scott Criscolo, and the Godfather, Nate Milton.
Place to Be Nation! Welcome back to your home for everything modern-day wrestling. Here, there, everywhere, from Cleveland, Ohio, to the fairgrounds in Nashville, to Japan, to Madison Square Garden, and everywhere in between. Place to Be Nation's main event. I'm your co-host, Scott Criscolo. Episode 122. And, of course, as we've been talking about NFL running backs over the last few episodes when talking about this number, I finally get to mention the man for me, the all-time leading rusher in the National Football League, the graduate of the University of Florida, of course, Mr. Emmitt Smith. But, of course, he's not the only number 22. Ray Knight, who, of course, who won the MVP for the Mets in the 1986 World Series. He was 22. Kevin McReynolds, when Ray Knight left. Any other Mets I can think of? Kevin Plawecki? No. This guy will help me come up with some 22s. The Godfather, Nate Milton, will be joining us later. He's running a little late with some work commitments, but the Godfather's awesome, and he'll join us in the B block. Of course, this week in the B block, we go back to October 2nd, 2002 for our next installment of our TNA Classic Pay-Per-View Recap. But first, let's bring in the guy who I always make suffer through that, because there's only one guy that I actually have the patience to go through it without putting anything through the window. He is indeed the conscience of Place to Be Nation. He saw his team win heavy today, big in the Big East tournament, Mr. Steve Wille.
Hello.
Hello.
Yes, it is nice to break the 4-game losing streak.
Yes.
I've already got a conciliatory message from J. Arsenio D'Amato.
Mato, yes. Tough loss for the Red Storm, yes.
Yeah, they obviously needed a lot more than Marquette, but so it goes.
Yeah.
22 is also, I have a couple NBA ones. You got Clyde Drexler and someone who's become more known in our house. That is Elgin Baylor. And the reason why we know Elgin Baylor is because we have this really fun game called NBA Playgrounds where you can you basically open up packs and you get to use those players. It's very similar to NBA Jam.
Oh, yeah.
And Elgin Baylor has been a popular player for my son and I to use.
Wow.
Great all around.
Oh, he's one of the greatest forwards in history, of course, the Los Angeles Lakers. I don't think he ever won a ring, though, because I think he retired before they won in 72. So I'm not sure if he actually got a ring or not, which is a shame because he's probably one of the greatest players that didn't. Do you know where he went to school, Mr. Wille? I bet you don't know. Well, if you looked at his card, you probably do, but school you would think of.
Elgin Baylor? No, I don't.
The University of Seattle.
Oh, wow.
I don't even know what their nickname is. Every time I think the University of Seattle, I think the Pilots, but that was the expansion team that became your Brewer. No, I shouldn't say your
Brewers.
The Brewers,
not my Brewers.
So, no, the Brewers. So Mr. Dadamos' Brewers. So what other 22s? Any hockey 22? Oh, and a good call on the Glide. The reason I would assume that the Portland Trailblazers did not draft Michael Jordan in 1984 because of they already had a 2, and I don't think 2 2s would have probably worked on the Trailblazers. So, but Glide, look, he's got a ring and such a nice guy. Fastlane from the University of Houston, which by the way is a tremendous 30 for 30. The one on Fastlane, the mid '80s Houston Cougars with Clyde the Glide and Akeem the Dream, Guy Lewis, who used to have the checkerboard handkerchief. Anyway, yeah, any I'm trying to think of any other major league players. Any NHL guys? Can't think of any 22s.
I can't think of any either.
I can't think of any 22s. Mike Bossy? No, Bossy was yes. Am I right? Right? Was he 22? Now I gotta think. Was he 21? No, maybe he was 22. I got to look now.
I'm looking it up for you.
Yeah, look it up, because my buddy Hank, who sometimes listens to our show, is a diehard Islanders fan, and he'd fucking kill me if I got this wrong. But I'm pretty sure the first guy to ever score 50 goals in a season.
Yeah.
And
as a rookie.
Yeah.
Mike Bossy, number 22.
Yep. There you go.
0.762 goals per game, highest percentage in NHL history. Still to this day.
Isn't that crazy? Yeah. More than Gretzky. That nuts?
Yeah. More than whole.
Yeah. That's insane. So we'll open this up, of course, to The Godfather when we start the B block and see what.
Let's scrape the bottom of the barrel.
Yeah, I know. We kind of covered everybody. I'm sure there's some guy here that we're probably missing, a catcher or something. So, anyway, Brother Steve, you and I will man the ship. Pro wrestling is pretty much we're on the road now. We're in the left lane of the highway. No getting off exits, no slowing down. We are straight up to April 7th at MetLife Stadium. Fastlane was this past Sunday in Cleveland. Quick recap of the card. On the pre-show, The New Day, Big E and Xavier defeated Nakamura and Rusev. Of course, the Usos retained their SmackDown Tag Team titles with a win over The Miz and Shane McMahon. And then, of course, Shane turned heel and beat the shit out of Miz in one of the usual worst-kept secrets. Asuka defeated Mandy Rose to retain her SmackDown Women's title, and her and Sonya Deville with some tension. The Bar, Kofi was supposed to be added to the WWE Championship match with Kevin Owens, but of course Vince fucked with him, and he ended up getting beat up by The Bar in a handicap match, which tells you, of course, that Kofi might win April 7th if they add him. I guess he has a gauntlet match next Tuesday on SmackDown with like 9 straight guys or something.
Yes.
If he wins, he gets into the match.
Typical McMahon chicanery.
Yes, exactly. Yep. The Revival retained the Raw Tag Team titles. They beat Aleister Black and Ricochet and Bobby Roode and Chad Gable in a triple threat. Samoa Joe retained the U.S. title in a 4-way with Andrade, R-Truth, and Rey Mysterio. The Boss and Hug Connection, that's your favorite team, Steve. Bayley and Sasha Banks, retained their women's tag titles with a win over Nia Jax and Tamina. Daniel Bryan did retain the WWE title. He defeated Kevin Owens and Mustafa Ali, who got his shot back that he lost before Elimination Chamber. As anticipated, Becky Lynch did defeat Charlotte Flair by DQ, thanks to Ronda Rousey, who came in and kicked Becky in the head or stomped on her or whatever, and got Charlotte disqualified. So it is now a triple threat at WrestleMania for the Raw Women's title, which will probably still be the main event. And in this main event, The Shield, for apparently the last time, defeated Baron Corbin, Bobby Lashley, and Drew McIntyre in a 6-man tag when they dropped the triple powerbomb on Corbin, and Roman Reigns, in his first match back since October, got the pin. Just quick overall thoughts on the show. Steve, did you like it? Hated it?
I thought for me, it was a little bit above average because there were 2, in my opinion, really, really solid matches. And that was the 4-way for the U.S. belt. I really enjoyed. And, of course, Daniel Bryan, Kevin Owens, and even with the addition of Mustafa Ali, I thought they did a fantastic job of fighting the crowd. I actually thought the crowd was, they responded how they should have responded. Right. Chanting for Kofi, they weren't doing it to be jerks or hijack the show.
They were feeding the storyline is what they were doing in essence,
Exactly. And then it didn't take away from the action. And when you have talented guys such as Daniel Bryan and Kevin Owens, and Mustafa Ali is showing that he can hang in the heavyweight division with these big guys, it just flowed really great for me. It was a really enjoyable match. So Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair was a little too much on the chin. It's like, okay, put Becky in there with a crutch and the knee brace and the shoulder, the arm all wrapped up. It was a little too much for me. I feel like they could have done a little bit more muted with that. And also enjoyed the ending, like the last 5 minutes of the Raw Tag Team title match. Ricochet and Aleister Black for tagging for pretty much no reason once they got up to the main roster, besides the fact that they were 2 faces on NXT. But they're making a good big man, little man team.
Yeah, they are. I want to talk about let's talk about the NXT guys for a minute. It seems like a strong rumor right now that both guys are going to be on the Raw roster or the main roster. Maybe they'll split and maybe or they'll go to the other show. Aleister Black, I think, has had his fill in NXT. I mean, he won the title. He won the world title. He had a good run, multiple matches with Ciampa that were good. But I don't think that it's a good idea, and not because he's not physically ready, but it's not Ricochet that's not ready for him to leave NXT. It's NXT's problem that's not ready for Ricochet to leave. They still need him, and I think this is exactly what happened with Apollo Crews and NXT's roster, particularly the singles main event roster, is very thin right now. And Ricochet right now is in line. I know that I know it's kind of getting in the way. Let me reword that. A lot of the singles guys on the roster right now are kind of stuck behind what's inevitably going to be the final blow-off between Ciampa and Gargano. That's eventually going to happen. Who knows when, because fucking Ciampa's
out. Yeah.
So I don't know what the problem is, but right now is probably not a good time for Ricochet to be sent up. It's not his fault. He's not being punished, but NXT needs him there more than he needs NXT, I guess is my point.
Yeah,
what are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's a good point. I think Ricochet will do fine on the main roster. He will get himself, he's got TV experience already, even before he came to NXT and WWE. He's going to get his fans. He's going to get himself over pretty easily. But you are seeing that, you lost EC3, who's doing basically nothing. You're losing Ricochet, you're losing Aleister Black, you're losing Gargano, who you really had nothing left to do in NXT besides maybe win the title. You're losing Ciampa. Those are all guys that were at the top of the card. And you have Adam Cole, who is still there. And really, they have enough depth on the NXT roster that they can start moving guys up. I have not seen the spoilers or the last week, I think, of the show. I kind of know what's going on. They're focusing more on the tag teams right now. But you got, Riddle can move up. They've really done a great job of building his story. If you watch the network or YouTube, they've done a great job of that. You can start moving up Dijakovic, who's had some TV time lately. You got Keith Lee, who you can start moving up, but you're going to have to do it maybe quicker than expected. Those are people who I thought would go up with the card after Mania, but for some reason they just wanted to bring up 10 people at once, pretty much.
Yeah,
because the other people just came up a month before, and you're not really doing anything with those.
Yeah,
unless you count Lacey Evans coming out down the aisle and then retreating back to the locker room.
I don't know what the fuck the deal is with that, but I mean, look, she's very pretty. She's very attractive. She's got a nice look, and the gimmick is something. I'm not sure what, but it's something. But she is terrible.
Yes,
have we seen her do a move since those first 2 minutes of the Women's Royal Rumble?
No, they put her out there to die. I actually felt bad for her.
Yeah.
You know that my kids and I watch NXT very, regularly.
Mm-hmm.
We are she just needed more time.
Yes, she did.
She has a lot of potential. I think the gimmick has a lot of potential. The look is great. It's like, 40s pinup girl and, combine like Southern, I can't think of that, like a Southern belle plus her military background. It's just kind of a cool combination.
Mm-hmm.
Great look. Just needs a little bit more time. I was really surprised that they brought her up.
I am
that
too.
soon.
Yeah,
because she has, and when she was at the Royal Rumble, when she stood up next to Charlotte, very similar size.
Mm-hmm.
She has the look to be on the roster. Not just as like a quote unquote diva, but to be able to hang if she has the seasoning in ring.
Right. But she doesn't.
Nope.
I mean, it's bad. It's really bad. The Becky Lynch Charlotte stuff was fairly predictable. The match was solid.
Man, I didn't like it at all.
Really? Well,
yeah.
It wasn't one of their best. I mean, I know Becky had to sell the whole knee thing.
Right. I just think they could have dialed it down a little bit. It just became, okay, it just, like I said, it was just too much that she had, with the crutch and all that. I was hoping for, Flair could have worked on the knee. Maybe she could have had a brace on, but the fact that she couldn't even walk or anything like that.
No, it was chaos in that aspect. We knew we were going to see Ronda. And that's fine. She wants, her whole thing is, I mean, I don't even know if she's a heel yet. I don't know what the deal is. But now I'm curious to see how the next 4 weeks go in terms of how to book this and what to do. And it'll be interesting to see what happens, because now it's locked in, and now, we have to see what will be written for them over the next month, and pray that the heat that Becky's got right now, the good heat, does not fade, because we're going to be stuck with 4 weeks of God only knows what.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm crossing my fingers about.
I do want to say I did like the finish. I've heard some people complain about the finish, like online, and with people who, like on Post Wrestling, like John Pollock, Wei Ting. Like I just heard some people complain about it. I actually really liked it. It made sense to me, that Ronda has wanted. Ronda hasn't backed away from any challenge. No. She's gone right into it. And then just the fact that she ran on full to the ring. Yeah. It was like the stiffest run ever, but ridiculously fast. Yeah. It was almost like the Minister of Funny Walks, only she was running. Just hopped in and, I'm just going to punch Becky in the face. And the referee's just looking like Robinson was like, I have to disqualify her. I have to disqualify her. This is, and Becky just Ronda just leaning back into the ropes with this big grin on her face. Yep. I just did it. I just ruined the whole match. I did it on purpose. I'm going to take out both of these people at Mania. Yeah. No, it was great. No, it was great. And I think Ronda might actually be the wild card in terms of the build for the next few weeks, because we know Becky's story. We know Charlotte's story. Charlotte's the chosen one. Mm-hmm. Becky's the underdog, the Steve Austin-ish. What is Ronda? Ronda's like, look, loose cannon is, what she is. Like, she will, she's going to do whatever she wants. The story of her, turning heel was natural. She started getting booed. You knew that's where they were kind of going as it is. Yep. And to me, Ronda is like Brock Lesnar before he got boring. When he first came back, man, I'm trying to compare this to what I just said about Lacey Evans. Ronda needs a little more work to be, her moves to be a little prettier in the ring, but she's just like this chaos. Yep. Like it's vicious. You don't know, what she's going to do in the ring. Like some of her moves just have so much snap. She looks like she can hurt somebody, which is what Brock looks like. He looks like he can really legitimately hurt somebody. And I like that she's playing it up. Yep. She has to at this point. I think we've had enough of the smile with her eyes vanishing, and I think we've had that. We're done with that now. Now we want to see Ronda. Yeah, I don't follow UFC at all, and I never saw her. I know of her just from the commercial aspect of it. Mm-hmm. I think she's really cool. I do too. She brings this. She brings this legitimacy. Like, she seems like a real person when she's in the ring, as opposed to just massively scripted staring off into the sunset. I like seeing emotion. I like, making it seem like it is a little bit more real than like holding a telephone and doing a selfie promo where you're clearly memorized lines. Yeah, exactly. And so I'm going to hold my breath, and we'll see where we go from here in that feud. I think the match, the actual match itself, is going to be super fun. Oh, it's going to be amazing. It's going to be amazing. At the moment, everyone says that will be the last match. I don't. I'm curious to see if like Brock Seth. Yeah. No, I'm looking forward to seeing if that match stays in that slot. Okay. The women's match. I'm curious to see if it stays in that slot. Mm-hmm.
As for Brock Seth, where we've had like zero build,
Right.
I guess we kind of got to get that going. I didn't catch Raw live. I watched the YouTube clips the next day. Is Brock coming back Monday?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, he will be there.
All right. So then we'll get something.
Big Town Brock.
Big
coming
Town
back. It's
Brock.
Chicago on Monday, I believe.
There you go. Are you going? No.
No, I wouldn't even go to Raw if it was in my backyard.
Yeah, my days of Raw probably are over too.
Yeah.
So I think that's still going to be a very good match, and we'll talk more about it in a few weeks with our big WrestleMania preview. Roman Reigns. Are we looking at just him and Drew head straight up at this point?
It certainly feels that way. And I as much as I can complain about WWE stuff, I think it's fine. They had no idea he was going to be coming back this quickly. So they had a plan for WrestleMania without him, and they're not just going to shoehorn him into some sort of main event match right away. So it's like, okay, who can we put him in here who's at least somewhat legitimate? Well, Drew's been at near the top of the card for the last few months, and this can give him a big power match. I'm fine with it.
Excuse me. Yeah, I am too. And Seth's
it's not
a
going to
solid
be like
guy.
It's not going to be blown away or anything, but to kind of push the two of them into a match to be at Mania, because you can't not have Roman at Mania.
No, of course not.
If he's ready to go, if he's healthy, he's a draw.
Right. So of course our next takeover, our next pay-per-view is NXT TakeOver New York. They're not calling it TakeOver Brooklyn because technically it's the whole area.
It's all of the New York and New Jersey and
it's all. Yeah, they don't want to take the Brooklyn away from the summer NXT takeovers.
NXT Newark.
Yeah, I know. God. NXT South Orange, which is where Seton Hall is, incidentally. Speaking of Seton Hall, rat bastards, I'll check that score in a moment. It is the quarterfinals of the Big East tournament tonight, as we mentioned. Mr. Wille's Warriors of Marquette.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah, Al McGuire.
The Hilltoppers of Marquette.
Moving on to the semi. Sorry, Mr. D'Amato. He's still playing in the tournament. We just don't know where. And of course, my Hoyas are playing Seton Hall right now. So it looks like TakeOver's set. 5 matches right now.
Oh, I'm gonna have to mute for a second.
Oh, why?
Oh no, I haven't seen the shows yet, so I don't know what's coming.
Damn it! All right, then we'll have to.
No, go ahead. It's fine.
No. The card is set, but we'll talk about it in 3 weeks.
There you go.
In 3 weeks at the on our next episode. So anyway, that's set. All right, and then of course after that is the big one, WrestleMania. And technically, at the moment, we have 7 matches already. And I don't think any of these are spoilers.
No.
AJ Styles will take on Randy Orton. They had a pretty interesting back and forth the other night on SmackDown.
Yes.
I guess Orton
AJ
said that
tanning with Dixie,
and AJ said your finisher is a knockoff of the Diamond Cutter.
Oh, that was great. DDP
that was
loved
awesome.
It. I saw him on social media. Like he's like, I like both of these guys, but it's great that they referred to me.
That's awesome. Of course, Shane and The Miz, no shock there. Kurt Angle has announced he is wrestling his final match. No opponent yet. My main event of WrestleMania, Triple H will take on Batista in a no-holds-barred match. Maybe Triple H gets finally a win back after 3 straight losses back in 2005. There will be a tournament to decide a number 1 contender for the Cruiserweight title. The winner will face Buddy Murphy. And, of course, the 2 big ones so far, Ronda, Becky, Charlotte, and then, of course, Seth and Brock. So we still have plenty of stuff left to do.
Yeah. Does it feel, and this is coming out of straight ignorance, I want to say that up front, does it feel like we have more matches at this point, pretty much official?
Yes.
Than we do in years past?
Well, the other reason, too, Steve, is we don't have as much time now as we used to.
Yeah, that's true.
Remember, we didn't have if the pay-per-view was in April, we never had a March pay-per-view. We had February, and then we had 8 weeks. So maybe at this point we did, but it does seem like we're like almost halfway through and we still got 3 weeks of build left. So yeah, I do think we're a little ahead of the game. We still have to have a match for Daniel, which probably is going to be a triple threat of him, Kevin, and maybe they'll do a 4-way, put Ali back in, and then have Kofi.
And Kofi.
Yeah, that'll be a great match. You know what? Somebody said, you know what? I saw it on Twitter. I don't know who it was. Somebody said instead of having the ladder match for the IC title, have the ladder match for the WWE title, and
That's not a bad idea.
Daniel, Kevin, Kofi, Ali, and then maybe I don't know, Knock, and I don't know.
I think they're just going to throw those guys in a random tag match or a battle royal or something like that. Like
I've heard. Well, I also heard that I'm reading some things that there may not be an Andre Battle Royal. They think that bloom has fallen off the rose, which it kind of does, I suppose. Now, it doesn't have that same. Sachet that it used to.
Yeah.
So.
Well, let me throw you a quick question I just thought of, and just
sure.
I'm going to put you on the spot.
Of course.
Do you think that they actually need 2 pay-per-views between Royal Rumble and WrestleMania
absolutely
at this
not.
point?
No, absolutely not. They never did before. Why do they need it now?
And like they did for a couple, they would do a Raw branded and a SmackDown branded, but it's almost like, they have to do something with those. So Royal Rumble seems a little less important.
But even so, you talk about the split, Steve. Even in the original split, go back to 2003. We didn't have brand specific pay-per-views yet, but we had the 2003 Rumble in Boston, and that was, of course, a tale of 2 matches: the awesome Benoit Kurt match, and then the awesome Triple H Steiner match, but for different awesome reasons. Then we went to the following month at No Way.
Awesome Bad is still awesome.
Awesome Bad is still awesome. Well, like I've always said. Well, I know. What's funny is I've always said that match. I was thinking about that match today, actually, because I was going to goof to put it on the GWW Greatest Televised Matches.
That is, God, that's so good. No one listen to this, right? Just do it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, no, it's going to be. It wasn't that big a deal to have the extra show, but again, you had No Way Out, and you had the Hogan thing, and that had to build to Hogan coming back, and then Rock was wrestling Stone Cold and all that stuff, and then you had the long build. So the split. Now, if you even go to 2004 and 5, Raw had the December only show. The December was Raw only, then the Rumble, then February was always the SmackDown only show, and then we didn't have another show until Mania. So it's not like Raw needed an extra show. Yeah. So even when there was a split and the February pay-per-view was one brand, it didn't even matter. We were fine. So no, I don't think. Remember the one year, I think it was 2016, because Triple H was champion. We had that like pseudo house show thing on a Saturday night. It was that first Roadblock, and I must have been like the little tiny place in Toronto. Brock fought. Brock was. I don't know who Brock fought anybody. No, it wasn't Brock. Triple H fought Ambrose.
Okay.
And just kind of set up the thing with Roman. But that was like a second. That was like a little house show thing. You know what I mean? There was never a need for that extra show. If the pay-per-view was in March, so be it. If the pay-per-view was in April, so be it. We just, they worked harder to write. Simple as that. You know what I mean? That's the thing. It's like, oh, we got to. They got to have this extra show to help them write. No, they don't. Just write better.
Right.
Think about the bookers in the 80s.
Take away the Elimination Chamber and do it later in the year. I know I'm a broken record. I say it every year.
I know.
Like it just, they did it better this year by putting the women's tag title match, but to have a championship belt right on the line right after Royal Rumble, just I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean it's an interesting dichotomy when you talk about the long game versus the short game, and does it affect Mania? No, but it's not totally unnecessary depending on because we currently have a split, but not really a split. It's, I don't know. Speaking of WrestleMania and the build, there's obviously other things going on on WrestleMania weekend. Of course, Saturday night at Madison Square Garden is not NXT TakeOver. It's actually Super Card of Honor.
Yeah.
And it is Super Card of Honor 13?
Yeah,
13.
and they're calling it more. It is a Super Card of Honor, but they're really calling it more of the G1 Super Card.
Well, yeah, it's actually it's a tour. Yeah. I don't know, it's not Best in the World. Yeah, it's
Yeah, War of the Worlds will be later on, but yeah, it's a joint promoted show. So something we don't really see that often, because the War of the Worlds events are really more Ring of Honor shows, and this has a feel that it's more 50-50. They have it on Honor Club, Fight TV. It's going to be on pay-per-view. It's going to be on New Japan World. It's going to be at a few different places.
Yeah.
And so I wonder if it will be on Access as well, or at least some of it, because they're going to have a couple big matches for New Japan.
Yeah, I'm wondering if they're going to turn it around like they try to do with Wrestle Kingdom. Mm-hmm. They turned it around pretty fast from what people have told me. I watched it off the app. Mm-hmm. Why am I blanking? New Japan World. Yeah, the World, the network, their network.
So they're going to have Ring of Honor has their 17th anniversary show this coming weekend. It's on the 15th. So holy cow, that's actually tomorrow. So Friday, as this comes out, today will be the 17th anniversary pay-per-view, and that's pretty much getting your final touches on the Ring of Honor portion of the card. Yes. And the big match for the main event is going to be Jay Lethal, who is now the longest reigning champion of all time in Ring of Honor, total combined days, just past Samoa Joe.
Oh, wow.
He will face Matt Taven of the Kingdom, who has pretty much been walking around with the fake belts, declaring he's the real world champion. So the winner of that match will go on to G1 Supercard. I am pretty sure it's going to be Jay Lethal. I would be willing to put money on that. And they will go against Marty Scurll for the championship at Madison Square Garden.
Yep.
An interesting choice. Marty's pretty over. Mm-hmm. So, and kind of the lone wolf left of the elite. Though he does have his new partners in Villain Enterprises, Brody King. You need to start watching Ring of Honor again, I think, because it is a completely different roster. So Brody King and PCO, the former Pierre Carl Ouellette,
yes,
will be going against the Briscoes, and I would not be surprised if they pull up the upset, because the Briscoes have already signed to go against the Guerrillas of Destiny in a title versus title match at G1 Supercard, and I just have this feeling that Brody King and PCO are going to take that one. PCO and Mark Briscoe are going to kill themselves on this pay-per-view. They were doing unprotected chair shots.
Oh, geez.
It was very, PCO was just literally trying to kill himself in the ring. It's his way of trying to get over and get his career back, which he really has done a great job of. He's 51 years old, if you can believe that. Wow. And he is doing moonsaults. He is taking head bumps. And just no selling them. But yeah, Mark and PCO were throwing chairs at each other's heads and not putting their hands up, and it was getting uncomfortable. So other matches on the 17th anniversary, just running down really quick. You got Roosh, one of the original LIG members, who's now with Ring of Honor, against Bandito of Lifeblood. That match should kill it. Marty Scurll versus Kenny King. That match should not kill it. The television champion, Jeff Cobb, is going against Shane Taylor. Kelly Klein trying to get her world championship back from Mayu Iwatani, who's in Stardom. Mm-hmm. And I think they also have a couple other matches. Silas Young against Jonathan Gresham, and the rest of the Kingdom, Marcellia and Orion against Lifeblood's Mark Haskins, who's out of England. Tracy Williams, who is a great kind of mat grappler. Ring of Honor, I've been watching a lot of since Final Battle. It is different. The roster is refreshed. They don't have the star power as they used to, but they have more people who replaced like Paige, Cody, and the Bucks. Because you have to remember, Omega really was never part of their roster. He just did a couple of matches here and there. Yeah, it's like special attractions. So I don't really see Omega as a loss to Ring of Honor. So it will be interesting. The other matches signed for the Super Card of Honor, the only two that have been announced, Jay White, the new champion in New Japan, will go against the winner of the current New Japan Cup tourney, which is ongoing right now. I think they just started the second round.
Right.
And then they're going to have a three-way match for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship, which just should be a high-flying barn burner between the new champion. He's been champion about a month, Taiji Ishimori, who had a pretty big TNA run last year. Dragon Lee, who's from CMLL, has done some American spots here and there, done some New Japan spots here and there, and the aforementioned Bandito. This match will be someone's going to land on their head in this match on accident, and but it's going to be a blast.
We'll definitely, Steve, we'll definitely delve into this card extensively on our big preview in a few weeks. My goal, Steve, that night is to surpass any episode of Exile on Bad Street.
Excellent.
or even why am I brain farting?
Zellner's.
Yeah, what's the other show?
Between the Sheets.
Between the Sheets. That's actually the longer. Exile on Bad Street's usually not that long. Well, for Chris speak. Well, it's usually 3.5 probably. Yeah. No, I wanted to surpass the longest Between the Sheets.
God.
And that's with having better co-hosts than Chris Elner will ever have on his show.
Straight shooting.
Straight shooting.
Main event tonight.
That's right. Oh, please. Piece of shit. Creep. Not Chris. Everyone knows what I'm talking about. Zellner's awesome. We got to get KZ back on. It's tough now, though. But KZ is a main event alumnus. So KZ's a great guy. One of my favorite episodes ever, Steve, I had him and Chad on.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I felt like I was, Boss Hogg talking to the Duke boys.
That is someone who we need to get back is Chad.
Yeah,
I've been trying to do stuff with him for a long time, and our schedules just do not match up.
No, it doesn't.
Had so many different ideas.
I know. No, I agree with you 100%. And this is right in his wheelhouse. So we're going to go. I really want everyone to really know in their head that when we do our WrestleMania preview, we are not just talking, TakeOver and WrestleMania. We are going to talk about the card at the Garden. There's no doubt about it. And we know a few people that are going that night. I won't be there. I will be hearing the great tones of Ambrosia and Toto and Benny Mardone. Oh, sorry. And some of Steve's favorite artists, Air Supply. Yes. But I think
Toto's really going to be there?
No, it's called Yacht Rock Review.
Oh my.
Yeah, it's going to kick ass.
I thought Toto's going to be there.
It's going to kick ass and take. I'd fucking be great if Toto was there. It'd be fucking great if the real Ambrosia was there. But no, I know a few. I believe Mr. D'Amato's going to the Garden, and a few others are going to the Garden as well on Saturday night. So yeah. So we're not just going to talk about TakeOver and the big show, the really big show in a few weeks. We will be talking about this show as well because it's a big deal. Anything else kicking around? What's New Japan doing at the moment?
They are, as I said,
big shows
just mentioned. Right? Yeah, they're in the New Japan Cup right now. So
yeah, I know they're in the Cup, but anything else on the?
That's pretty much. They had their anniversary show. I was actually going through that right before we got on air, and then they went straight into the Cup. And the Cup's much longer this year because they doubled it to 32 instead of 16. So I'm actually really excited about that because there's a lot of some of the young Lions who are going to be in the tournament who I generally don't watch those matches because just time. There's so much out there to watch. I'll usually watch the top 2-3 matches on the card. So it will be, and I've heard they've been giving these matches a lot of time. So it'll be neat to see, I believe Tanahashi went up against Shota Umino, and that was, I've seen Shota Umino like once, and Chad gave that 3 3/4 of a star. So to see a young lion against such a big name, I know the Naito Ibushi match, which was a first round match, if you can believe that, is getting rave reviews. Ibushi has signed full time now with New Japan, from what I understand. It's hard to tell the Japanese translation of promos, but it certainly sounds like he's going to be there full time, which may give him more of an opportunity to perhaps win the big belt. They were obviously, if you're not under contract, you're probably not going to get that. But that could be something to talk to Kevin Kelly about, see how much he knows about that behind the scenes stuff.
Right. Just a quick update for those that don't know who the champions are. Of course, Jay White beat Tanahashi at the New Beginning in Osaka. Naito is your IC champ. Juice Robinson, his second reign as U.S. champ. He beat Cody at Wrestle Kingdom. The Gorillas of Destiny are, as we mentioned, are the tag champs. Ishimori is the junior heavyweight champ. Roppongi 3K. Is it Roppongi?
Yeah, Roppongi. Yeah.
Roppongi. Show yo, bitch. They are your junior heavyweight tag champs. Will Ospreay is the never open weight, and Taguchi Japan is the never open weight 6-man tags. So that they're the champions.
It's the most worthless belt there is. I'm sorry. Why?
I'm looking at a picture of the New Japan headquarters, and it's not as nice a building as Titan Towers is. I'm looking at a picture of it. There's a picture of it on Wikipedia. I mean, it just looks like another building. I don't see they have one of the most awesome logos ever. And you don't stick it on the side of the building? You know how old the New Japan logo is? The King of Sport with the lion in the middle?
At least back to the 80s.
1972.
Wow.
That's how old the logo is.
Oh, that makes sense. That's there.
Yeah, I thought the logo would... I agree with you. I thought the logo was 80s too. I thought it was the country, but that's all Japan.
Mm-hmm.
All Japan was the logo, was a picture of the country. So, all right. I think. Is there anything else? I'm looking at my list here. Is there anything else we need to chat? Impact had Slammiversary. That already happened, right? Yeah. Let's see when they're next big. We might as well talk a little of the current Impact, since we'll be talking about older Impact. I know they have a show over Mania. Here's my hot take. Here's my scorching hot take. I am worried about Mania weekend this year because I think there is way too many events, a lot more than there even were last year. Like, anyone who has a group is out there, and there's only so many people, and there's only so much talent. So some of these shows, the talent is getting pretty thin. They're bringing a lot of guys in from Japan, like a lot of legends. Like, I think Muto's going to be there. I know Masato Tanaka is going to be there. But it's just, man, I wouldn't know what to go see. Some of these places are going to lose. Some of these groups are going to lose money. And I think here, my hot take is that next year you're going to be seeing a step down in the amount of these indies that are going to be going out there. Yeah, well, you've got. I mean, let's kind of list it a bit. You've got. TakeOver. You got WWE, and they're going to have their two big shows, TakeOver and, of course, the big show. Ring of Honor's got the card on Saturday, and you could kind of obviously include New Japan in there, I suppose, as well. I know that at WrestleCon, which will be at Javits, which is where the Comic-Con was, by the way. Usually, now I don't know if this is the same, Steve. Maybe you know this better than I do. When we went in 2013, I remember Chad went to go see Shimmer. Shimmer had a show in the building. They had a show during the day, Saturday. So they probably will have a show. I'm assuming Evolve is going to be somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Chikara?
Yep, they're going to be there as well.
Yep.
I am currently counting the number of wrestling cards that are announced so far. And then I'm going to have you think of a guess, because I'm still counting.
Okay. Oh, Jesus. I would say, while you're counting, I would probably say, are you counting Thursday? Or are we just talking Friday, Saturday, Sunday?
Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
All right, Thursday.
I won't include Raw and SmackDown.
Okay. No, it doesn't count. The weekend, to me, the weekend, I mean, to some people, obviously, the weekend technically ends Tuesday night at 10 o'clock.
There's even a couple of shows on Wednesday.
But for me, the proper weekend ends at 11:27 on Sunday night when I'm walking to the car, when I'm walking into the Rosero Mobile to go home. I'm going to say, if you start Thursday morning, or afternoon, till Sunday night, I'm going to say 14.
Well, there are also 3 on Wednesday. So if you include those Wednesday through Sunday, these are just actual wrestling cards, not like, podcasts being taped or parties or anything like that.
Yep.
42.
What?
42.
Holy shit. Why don't you list them? We'll go on.
There's 14 on Friday alone.
Oh my God. Well, give us some of the big ones. You don't have to go there. As we go into break, why don't you give us some of the big ones? Well, obviously
you're playing like Bohemian Rhapsody, and I'll be done when the big ones. You always have Evolve, although those have been going a step down, and like the Evolve kind of like the WWN shows that they have. Mm-hmm. Those shows, they're going to have WXW out of Germany. That's going to be really big. DDT is coming from Japan. That's going to be really big. We talked about Chad. That's his favorite promotion right now. They always have the WrestleCon Super Show. MLW is going to be out of there for a couple. Impact, we already said. Chikara is trying to rebuild. Rev Pro out of England. Stardom, the Joshi promotion out of Japan. The Joey Janela Spring Break is actually going to be spread out over 2 days. I would say those are the real big ones. Yeah. But yeah, 42 actual wrestling shows.
Yeah. No, it's crazy. It's crazy. But I mean, look, a lot of people will fill up on. Some people just don't like WrestleMania. Mm-hmm. So what they'll do is they'll go to all these crazy shows. All these indie shows from Wednesday. I couldn't do that. I mean, my coworker 3 years ago, she went to 2 years ago. Which one? Orlando. 2 years ago. 2 years ago, she went to Orlando for WrestleMania 30, whatever the fuck the number was, 33. And it was her first WrestleMania weekend ever. And she wanted the full Monty, so she flew in on Wednesday and literally stayed all the way until the final minute ended of SmackDown on Tuesday.
Yeah, I couldn't do that.
And she said by the end of Raw, she was cooked. She'll never do that again.
Yeah.
And she's like, I'm glad I did it for my first time, and I'll go to Mania and she says I'll go to pay-per-views and stuff. I will never do that again. And I don't blame her. But you know what? If you do it once, why do you got to do it again? Not a big deal. You know what I'm saying? So.
Yep.
I applaud all these. Look, you take advantage of the crowds. It's perfect marketing. It's capitalism at its best. Wink, wink. You go, you pay. I mean, some of these cards are probably what, fucking $10. I mean,
oh yeah.
You're talking. From what I've heard, the tickets that are still available for the Saturday night show at the Garden are not that bad. Maybe 45. Some of them.
Are they sold out? I think they're sold out, but they're.
Well, secondaries.
Oh, okay. Secondary market.
Secondaries, yeah.
Yeah, some of these shows have people I've never even heard of on there. Yeah. But, throw it out there, give it a chance. There will be a lot of these quote-unquote secondary shows that will make a ton of money. Mm-hmm. Janela's show, they're both sold out already. That will make a ton of money. They jacked the prices up on that as well they should.
Yep. Yeah. So yeah. Crazy. And we're going to go through all 42 cards in 3 weeks. No, I'm only kidding.
Yeah, we will. Yeah. And we will make all of our predictions.
Yes.
For all 500 matches.
Sheriff Pete will, bitch. So anyway, busy weekend, folks. Busy weekend. Why don't we take a break? Great A block, Steve. Thank you. It was great. Well, you're staying, but I'm just saying thank you for a great segment anyway. When we return, the Godfather will be here to join us, and we will dive back to October of 2002 for maybe the one promotion that's not going to be around WrestleMania weekend. Although I don't know, do they have like a house show, or maybe they have something that weekend? I doubt it though. Their next big show is coming up on April 28th up in Toronto, and of course talking about Impact Wrestling, which is what it's called now, but we remember it, Steve, when it was NWA TNA. Oh, what a roster it was. What a roster it was. And we're going to go back to October of 2002 and take a look at a main event that may be better than Seth and... No, it's not. Not a bad undercard, though, depending on your point of view. So, Brother Steve, Brother Scott, Nate joins us. Back in time. Next.
Because...
Scaramouche?
Promotional consideration paid for by the following.
PlayStation Nation's Justin Rosero and Chad Kimball here, and we want to let you know that we have a ton of great podcasts available to you on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, and PlayStation.com, and we now offer them to you on 2 great feeds. On the PlayStation Wrestling feed, we bring you the Mothership, the Place to Be podcast, Main Event, Survey Says, Wrestling Warzone, a Monday Night Wars podcast retrospective, No Holds Barred, Jeff Learns Wrestling, and our monthly pay-per-view reaction shows. On top of that, we're also dipping into the vault, re-releasing the entire catalog of where the big boys play for your enjoyment. And in addition to these full-length shows, we also deliver special network pod blasts on topics old and new.
The Place to Be Nation Pop feed is loaded with great content, offering such tremendous shows covering the land of pop culture, such as Geek and Sassy, Talkin' Pop, the Glenn Butler Podcast Hour Spectacular, Sunday Groove, PTBN Play, Freak Out Drive-In, Songs with Friends, Looking Forward, Looking Back, and Lucha Undead, as well as a veritable podcast heaven for comics fans with the hard-traveling fanboys, Sellers Points, Conversation Comics, DC Post-Crisis Management, Marvel Age, and Marvel Age Masterclass, plus weekly pod blasts that cover the gamut of comic topics. The feed is also filled with insightful sports content, including the NBA team, This Week in the NFL, and more.
And you can find all these current shows, plus archives of our past podcasts, including The Kevin Kelly Show, as well by subscribing to both feeds on iTunes. And while there, be sure to rate and leave feedback as well. All of these shows, plus others available at PlayStation.com. We cover pro wrestling, sports, movies, comics, in-depth stretch projects, and more. Be sure to support our site by using PlayStation.com/Amazon while doing your online shopping. And download our free PTB Vintage Vault Refresh ebooks via the links on our site. We also want to thank our friends at Boneheads Wing Bar, ProWrestlingOnly.com, and TheHistoryOfWrestling.com. Be sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Tumblr as well. PlayStation.com, the only place to be in your pop culture world.
Oh, make me over. I'm all I wanna be. A walking study in demonology. Hey,
Welcome back to Clotheslines and
Wow! Walking through the back door, and that's what happens?
brought it back from the dead.
Ladies and gentlemen, of course, we missed him very much on the A block, but he has joined us for the B block, and that is my co-host, the Godfather, Nate Milton.
Yes, I don't know what happened, Scotty. The people know. The people have been following me here on Main Event, and I just wanted my fair share. I just wanted my shine, Steve Willie. I've been here for 16 months. 16 months. I never been trick-or-treat with my kids. And I said, Scotty, can I just host the whole show one week? And he said, wait outside my office and I'll talk to you. And he didn't come and get me for the A block. So I had to come in and take my opportunity on episode 122. And I'm wearing my Larry Nance jersey and I'm ready to make something happen.
Larry Nance, he wore number 22. My God, yes, Larry Nance, the first slam dunk champion. Larry Nance,
the original Larry Nance, not the new Larry Nance who may or not still be in the league.
Yeah, who may have played for the Lakers and we don't remember.
He occasionally does a couple dunk contests. I think that's about it.
Yeah, I know he went to Cleveland when LeBron was there, and they made a big deal about it. And I think they might have even unretired his dad's number, but I don't know if he's still on the team.
No, I don't. I doubt it as well. Brother Nate, it's good to have you as always. And we went over some of the stuff going on. Why don't we ask Steve? Why don't you ask Nate the question you asked me in the A block and see if Nate can get the answer. Go ahead.
All right, Nate. We started talking a little bit about the Mania card and the Ring of Honor New Japan joint show, and I was wondering, I knew that there were a lot more events this year than there were last year, and my hot take was that, hey, I think this might be a little bit too much. Talent's, kind of spread thin. There might maybe be a little bit less next year. So I went and found the number of actual wrestling events. So not like podcast tapings or, Conrad and Eric Bischoff talks or parties or anything like that. From Wednesday, there's a couple on Wednesday, all the way through WrestleMania. So not including Raw and SmackDown. So Wednesday through Sunday, actual wrestling cards. How many do you think there are?
So we're talking 5 days.
Yep, Wednesday through Sunday.
Okay, and I would imagine most of these events would be concentrated towards the back half of the week. I'm gonna say there are going to be 19 events.
Okay, well, you be closer than Scott, who guessed 14. The actual total, 42.
Wow.
Yes.
And I would have to say that there's probably 32 of these events that people have not heard of.
Yes. Yeah, I was looking at some of the cards. I didn't go over them, but they were like, man, I'm pretty deep on the indie stuff. I'm like, who are these people?
Hey, if they can make some money off of it and give guys a place to work, I guess it's a good thing. But you're right. When do we reach the saturation point?
This year.
in about 3 weeks. In 1 month.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, that's a lot. And I said, Nate, we're going to do all of the cards in 3 weeks. I want to have twice the length of it between the sheets. But
we are going to make our picks for all 42 events.
Yep. We're gonna do a 575 match pick'em. There's got to be a Shark Boy match somewhere in this mess.
Maybe he'll make a guest appearance with Kaiju Big Battel. I know Steve Wille wants to go in depth on that promotion.
There's one event that's been announced, and the only thing that has been announced is that Tommy Dreamer will be there. That is it. No other talent, no matches, just confirmed. Tommy Dreamer.
It's just an evening with Tommy Dreamer.
Oh my God, that's
just
funny.
You and the man in a box.
A one-man show. He's just maybe he's a crooner. Maybe we never knew this about Tommy Dreamer.
A crooner. Anyway, speaking of crooners, there's a lot of great singing in the fairgrounds. Actually, before we do that, before we get to
delay the inevitable.
Delay the inevitable. I should do our live read. Was it updated? I think it was updated today. It maybe not have been, but I think it's roughly the same thing. Let's see. Yeah, I guess pretty much exactly this. So, a busy week from around Place to Be Nation, both on the Pro Wrestling PTBN W feed, which is, of course, our wrestling feed, and the PTBN Pop feed. On the Pop feed, the premiere episode of Binge Please. The manager, Todd Weber, he runs the Pop feed, I run the wrestling feed, explains the concept of his new show and also highlights Netflix's Pen 15, so check that out. Steve and Kelly are back in the house with a brand new Songs with Friends, breaking down November Rain and Frontin'. I love November Rain. Oh my God, probably one of my 5 favorite songs ever. The 4th episode of The Great Debate dropped. Host Andy Atherton welcoming in Russell Sellers, David Sunday, Jason Sherman, and our good friend Steve Pate. You're wondering who that is? Well, listen and find out who that is. They debate subjects across a spectrum of topics. The Boogie of the Bayou, Mr. Andrew Reish, and Mr. Murray are back with a new NBA team podcast with a survey of the landscape and what seems to be on the horizon as we get closer to the NBA playoffs. Hard Traveling Fanboys are back with a new Long Book Hunters as they dive into the death of Captain Marvel. Speaking of Captain Marvel, Mr. Atherton and I, along with our good friend Miranda, did a Captain Marvel kind of reaction show, half non-spoilers, half spoilers. So there is a break. So if you have not seen the movie yet, listen for about the first 30 minutes. We'll give you kind of an idea of what we thought of some of the ancillary stuff. Pause it, go see it, come back, listen to the rest. I thought we did a good job. And for those, have you seen it yet, Steve?
I have not.
No, Nate, you haven't seen it yet?
I have.
Oh, okay. Without spoiling for Steve, what'd you think?
I thought it was good. It was solid. Not as like it wasn't this life-changing event.
No,
I think when you go back and look at kind of the Marvel canon, it'll probably be like an upper mid-carder. Like I don't think it's in the top 5 Marvel movies, but I enjoyed it. I think there's some neat things for people that have been longtime viewers of the series. And I think it did what it needed to do, which was A, introduce this character of Captain Marvel, and B, set the table for the real main event, which is coming in 2 months.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. My favorite mid card, because obviously the actual Avengers movies are the main event players. By the way, a Endgame trailer dropped today.
Yep.
Out
8
of
o'clock
nowhere.
in the morning.
I know, out of nowhere, like an RKO.
I was
like
about to drop at 8 o'clock this morning.
like a fake diamond cutter. And I would put my favorite. This is my personal opinion. My favorite secondary pay-per-view, otherwise known as my favorite non-Avengers canon movie, is probably still Thor Ragnarok. That's probably still my favorite. Number 2 is a tie between probably Guardians 1 and Black Panther. I love Black Panther.
Yeah,
I love the colors. I love the camera in that movie. Yeah, I love Black Panther. It's probably number 2 behind Thor Ragnarok. She's the alpha dog, though. And again, Steve, not to ruin it for you, but you'll understand what I mean by that.
I know who the character is.
Yeah. So like Steve, maybe listen to the first half of the show with myself.
What about the other captain? Where would you rank Steve's movies? Not Steve Willie, but Steve.
Well,
Morgan.
Yeah, it's Steve. We'll have to do that one day. Maybe we'll have to rank all of them. It's hard for me to rank the 3 Thors, the 3 Caps, and the 3 Tonys.
Yeah,
I'll have to. Yeah. Plus, you got the 2 2 Guardians. Yeah, that's tough.
The 3rd Cap is basically an Avengers movie.
It is. I think the best of Caps is Winter Soldier. That's probably the best one.
Yeah, that's a great movie.
I don't even really rank that with the Marvel movies because I think it's one of those movies kind of like Dark Knight that kind of goes above and beyond the genre.
All right. So, but you'll get plenty of Avengers talk on the pop feed.
And I know Steve Willie is a big fan of Thor: The Dark World.
That's actually what I have not seen Thor: The Dark World.
He loves the Dark Elves.
It's the Dark Elves. Good Lord.
Elves. I heard that's a faction that's going to be doing a 43rd show WrestleMania weekend. The Dark
Yes.
DEF, the Dark Elves Federation. So anyway, check out that podcast, that Pod Blast. Myself, Andy Atherton, and Miranda from Geek and Sassy, and check out our opinions of Cap Marvel. And speaking of Geek and Sassy, actually, new Talking Pop, Tim and Jenny, a live watch of My Father, the Hero. But be sure to stop by the Geek and Sassy Facebook page where you can grab and complete a ballot for the 2nd annual Sassy Awards. Make your voice heard. On the wrestling feed, my PIC, Mr. Rizzero, and Mr. Campbell, Steve, that we talked about earlier. New Wrestling War Zone as they take a deep dive into the final pay-per-view of the year of 1995 for the WWF, In Your House, number 5. Episode 514 of The Mothership, Place to Be Podcast. JR and I, joined by Peter Winston, we checked out the legendary main event from February 3rd, 1989, when the Mega Powers finally exploded. Coming up this week will be episode 515, where we will have the first house show after that, the February 20th, 1989 MSG house show. We won't tell you who the guest is. You'll have to listen to find out. Brand new podcast series, What If Wrestling? The two, speaking of the hard traveling fanboys, Nick and Greg, in this premiere installment, the boys dive into, and this is pretty good. I actually was talking to Dr. G about this earlier in the week when we were taping the Year in Pop. What would have happened if Ric Flair joined the World Wrestling Federation in 1988?
Chaos.
I know. Your boy Sting, Nate, might have been elevated earlier after the draw at Clash 1.
Flair would have jobbed to Hogan.
Probably. But Sting would have jobbed to Barry Windham. No, I don't know. Let's hope not. Even though we love Barry Windham. But anyway, Chicken at PlaceBeNation.com. The site's up and running again. We got plenty of good stuff up there. We talked about Chris Zellner's shows, Exile on Bad Street, and, of course, Between the Sheets. Glenn Butler's Wednesday Walk Around the Web. Bunch of other great stuff on PlaceBeNation.com, so please check it out. Also, curious, guys, your thoughts on this. The PTBN Greatest Candy Tournament Facebook page. So you can participate in all the daily polls. We determine which candy is indeed the greatest of all time. The tournament is underway. A champion will be crowned on Easter Sunday, which is, of course, the second biggest candy holiday of the year, behind, in my opinion, of course, Halloween. And a pod blast featuring... I
wouldn't know, Scotty. I've never been trick-or-treating with my son. I haven't even met my son these past 16 months.
Well, maybe give him some pancakes and bootios, and everything will be fine. So Mr. Atherton, JR, and Michael Cook, as they talked about, they kind of broke down the tournament. They were like their own little John Rothstein action there. I think that Reese's Peanut Butter Cups is probably the prohibitive favorite, but the old warhorse, the regular straight up Hershey's chocolate bar, I think should not be denied a chance down the line.
I think anytime you get a two-way player, when you got peanut butter and chocolate, I think that's going to give you an added element. I'm turning to Mel Kiper Jr. for some reason. That's Todd. That's going to give you an added element on the field. So I think you got to go with your Reese's, your Snickers. It's definitely got to be in the mix. M&M's, peanut butter M&M's. Don't sleep on them. They could be a dark horse.
Could be a dark horse. Could be drafted in the 5th round, right behind what you call.
You had a literal 5-tool player. The Take 5 get eliminated pretty early, but I think it's just because he's young and brash.
Right. Exactly. He'll be back. He'll be back in the mix.
I was a fan of Take 5 when Take 5 first came on the scene.
Yeah, I did too. Actually, I enjoyed it as well. So anyway,
they're kind of busy though. They're kind of busy. Sometimes you just want a simple snack.
A simple snack, which is why I think the regular straight up Hershey bar could be a dark horse. I really do. So anyway, check out the PTBN Greatest Candy Tournament on Facebook. We have the Facebook page, and check that out.
Simple Snack was actually my nickname in middle school.
Your nickname in middle school was Super Snack?
Simple Snack.
Simple Snack. I thought your name was Super Snack.
Now he's Super Snack.
It took a while. I gained some powers, gained some weight.
And then ran it all off.
Before we get to our
we're never going to do it, and that's
right.
Fine.
I don't. We get to our. I want
like
to
that. Remember that episode, Steve, when we didn't want to talk about the Royal Rumble?
You mentioned those 22s off the top, Scott. Did you remember to mention a gentleman from your neck of the woods who's had a long NBA career, if not a distinguished one?
Oh God, who was a 22 in my neck of the woods?
And I believe we're 22 in college as well.
Oh, I just thought of another 22, a college 22. We'll get to him in a minute. 22. We'll have to confirm this, brother Nate. If you're talking about a Celtic.
No, he's played for a bunch of teams. I don't believe he's played for the Celtics.
No, so you're thinking maybe Nets or Knicks? Well, Dave DeBusschere played for the Knicks.
Currently, he might be a Spur, I believe. I know he was with the Grizzlies for a while.
Interesting.
A very happy player.
What do you think, Steve?
Man, I do not know.
You think he's on the Spurs now?
He might be on the Spurs now.
Let's see.
I know he's with the Grizzlies, the Spurs, the Kings for a minute.
Kings, Spurs, Thiago Splitter? He wore number 22 for the Spurs. He wore number 22 for the Spurs.
The only good thing about Thiago Splitter was the way Stephen A. Smith pronounced his name. Thiago Splitter.
Oh, God.
You don't have a guess, Steve?
I just looked it up.
So Steve knows where we're at.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. You're gonna kick yourself.
He's a New England guy.
Yeah, your brother would know.
My brother would know. Oh, well, it's not Ray Allen. It's got to be UConn guy then. Rudy Gay?
Yes.
Rudy Gay. Yes. Rudy Gay. Let's be clear here. Rudy Gay walked through UConn. He didn't really actually go to UConn.
I'm just impressed that I knew he was UConn.
He walked through the buildings. I don't know if he stopped in any of the rooms. But,
I think next time I realized like a lot of our picks, and maybe it's on the heels of watching Captain Marvel, Scotty.
Uh-huh.
Our picks are very testosterone filled.
Yes.
Maybe for episode 23, obviously we've got a big one, but we need to think of some ladies that can hop on the list.
Wait a minute. Hold on. I got one right now who I think wore 22, and then I have another quarterback. Let me double check. I think she wore 22 when she was in the pros. Stand by. Yes, baby. Thank you, brother Nate Milton. You know who wore 22? Arguably the greatest player in the history of the WNBA.
Ooh.
She's a graduate.
Is she currently playing?
She's not currently playing. She's retired. She is actually an assistant coach with Texas Tech. She went to Texas Tech for 2 years. She was drafted by the Houston.
I know exactly who it is, and I
She
can't
was
think of the
drafted.
name.
She was drafted by the Houston Comets.
Cheryl Swoops.
Cheryl
Yeah.
fucking Swoops.
she's awesome.
Yes.
Number 22. And she was a smoke show. And, Seattle Comets for 10 years, then the Storm and the Tulsa Shock. And then she was the head coach. She was an assistant coach at Mercer Island High School. Then she was the head coach at Loyola of Illinois for 3 years. And currently she is an assistant at her alma mater of Texas Tech. She won the Naismith Player of the Year award her senior year. She averaged 25 points a game in college. I don't know how many rings she has. How many rings does she have? She has 4 rings, and that is because the Houston Comets won 4 consecutive WNBA championships from 1990. They were better than the Rockets in the late 90s.
Yep.
So think about it then, guys. A Houston basketball team owned the old Toyota Center. Maybe it was the Compaq Center. I don't think they were in the Summit at that point. From 1994 to 2000, there was in that 6-year span or 7-year span, you had 6 championships in the building.
Yep.
By the Rockets and 4 by the Comets.
Yeah, because I think didn't 1 year overlap because they were like the only NBA, WNBA team to get the combo?
I don't think so, because it says here that because they won it in 94, 93, 94, 94, 95, and she was a rookie in 97, and they won it in 97. So I think the only year in that stretch that there was not a team that won it was, there were 2, 95, 96, and 96, 97. So there was the 2 that the Rockets won, then there was a gap, and then the Comets won 4 in a row. So they were 27-3 in 1998. 27-3. That might also be just as impressive as the Warriors 73-9. Except of course the Comets actually sealed the deal and won the championship, unlike the Warriors who didn't. So anyway,
I was a big WNBA, like that first couple years of the WNBA with Swoops and Lobo and Lisa Leslie and Sue Bird, like that crop.
I love Lisa Leslie.
And I like they got great players now. Like Taurasi's great, and they got a bunch of great players. But like that first 2 or 3 seasons, I was like, yeah, this is cool. And then it's like, yeah, I don't even know when the season starts and when it ends until ESPN tells me the playoffs are happening.
They were the Houston Comets, and then in 2008 they left. They could, man, that's crazy. They got sold. No one could find an owner, and they folded in 2008.
Mm-hmm.
How sad. That sucks. They just the Koch put the team up for sale with an asking price of $10 million. Nobody stepped up. The league took over and disbanded the team. That sucks. And they were like the first dynasty.
Yep.
The big 3 it was Swoops, Tina Thompson, and Cynthia Cooper.
Yep.
Powerhouse. Anyway, I can't believe we actually just spent Andrew Reese should be very proud that we just spent 6 minutes talking about the WNBA.
Hey, those first few years of the WNBA probably put on a better show than what we're about to talk about.
You're probably right. But sadly, gentlemen, we got to get to the business at hand. So let us go
To the Rebecca Lobo Wikipedia page. Oh, no.
Yes. Jen Rosati, baby. All right. October 2nd, 2002.
Hey, guys, remember Pat Summit? She was great.
Pat
Pat and Gino.
How about Pat Summerall?
Pat Summerall did WNBA games. Let's find some. Let's just do a simulcast. No.
Do a live watch of the 1999 WNBA Finals.
Live watch. Diana Taurasi's greatest hits with the Mercury. Yes. Oh my God, I did love Lisa Leslie though. And Swing Cash is now on. She's an analyst on CBS College Sports Network. She's on my network. She's hot too, and she was a damn good player. Let me tell you. I mean, look, I'm a UConn fan, so we're just a factory. All right, guys, we got to finally do it. Sorry, nothing left, Nate. Nothing left, late. The tip jar's empty. All right, guys. October 2nd, 2002. It is technically NWA TNA pay-per-view number 14, even though and it's actually, I think, 14 on ProWrestlingHistory.com. However, the Global Wrestling app had it at 15 because they count the X Division clip show that they did in September.
Yeah, I think we need to start going by dates because this.
That's what I said to Nate. That's what I said to Steve today. We got to start going by dates.
That
so the
one
next
show was screwing up the whole thing.
The whole feng shui, exactly. So, guys, 2 days before, on September 30th, was the most recent issue of Sports Illustrated. Who was on the cover? I won't say it was a person, but it was a team. A college football team was on the cover of SI that week in 2002. Nate will be very pleased when he finds out who. Each get a guess. What do you think? College football 2002. What do you think?
Let you go first, Steve.
What do you think, Steve? I hear the wheels spinning. Marquette doesn't have a football team. Would he accidentally mute? He was embarrassed.
Steve,
oh, wow. He
Steve,
actually vanished. All right, we'll have to get
I don't have time for this.
Yeah, I don't have time for dissing. There's no loyal of Chicago football team. So, Brother Nate, come on, you got to guess. What do you think?
All right. I think this might be a year later than it actually happened, but I'm gonna guess. We're in October, so this is right in the thick of things for football season. And I'm gonna go collegiate here.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna say 02. I'm gonna say the Hokies.
Virginia Tech. That's actually not a bad one, right? Because I think
this would have been the Marcus Vick years. I think. I want to say Michael would have graduated in 2000.
Yes, because he was on the cover of Madden by 04.
Yeah.
So. Incorrect. The team was. I don't know where the heck he went. I don't know where Steve went. Am I gonna have to find him again? All right, let's. I don't want to stop the. Oh, here we go. It's Steve. Okay. And,
Steve has no time for your trivia.
He doesn't have any time because it wasn't Loyola Chicago. That's why. And Marquette doesn't have a football team. All right. The answer is, Brother Nate, and I'm very proud to say this. The Fighting Irish of Notre Dame were on the cover because
Ty Willingham.
Your boy Ty Willingham had us playing some very damn good football in his first year in 2002.
Oh, those first 2 years of Willingham were pretty good.
They were great. I got to Nate, look, man, no one's a bigger ND guy than I am. I loved Ty Willingham. I'll tell you what was wrong with Ty. Ty was a good football coach. Very smart guy. But Ty just wanted to coach. That's what they let him do at Stanford. He just coached.
Yeah.
But at Notre Dame, you don't do just coach. And recruit, of course, recruit. You got to do seminars, and you got to do the rubber chicken circuit, and you've got to be the man. You've got to be the face of the program at that university.
Mm.
And he didn't want to do that. He just wanted to coach. And unfortunately, you don't just coach when you're at Notre Dame. And he butted heads with the priests, and sadly, he did slump at the end a little bit, but not enough to where he probably should have been. But I just don't think he ever was fully comfortable there. And that's a shame, because I think Ty Willingham's a tremendous coach. And in 2002, we played very, very well and got to the bowl game.
And then they brought in Weiss to follow.
They brought in Charlie. They brought in Charlie, yeah. And Charlie did the same thing. Charlie got off to an awesome start, and then he shit the bed. And now we have. Are
y'all still paying Charlie?
Yeah, I know. I don't know. No, I don't think they did a Bobby Bonilla contract. Brother Steve said the internet completely down. Oh boy. All right. Well, we will. While Steve's digging out of the hole. Oh, all right.
Steve's doing anything to get out of these TNA.
I know, seriously, Steve, that's pretty childish of you to just kick the plug because you don't want to talk about it.
We have in Wisconsin, it's been freezing for the last 2 months, and we're 60 degrees today and pouring rain. So everything is flooded. The wind's crazy, and I think it just completely knocked out our internet. So I am joining you by cell phone.
Okay. All right. No problem. So anyway, well, Steve didn't hear us. Steve, who do you think was on the cover of SI? What college football team on that week, which would have been September 30th, 2002?
I'm going to go Virginia.
Which, that's funny you say that, because Nate guessed Virginia Tech.
Oh, well, okay.
But the answer, and I just said it, I won't, we just talked about it here, so I won't elaborate. It was actually Notre Dame.
Oh,
because
okay. That was my original guess until you said that Nate might.
Because it was first-year head coach Mr. Ty Willingham's first year, and he led us. I think they went 10-3 that year and got to a bowl game. And then I've got into the whole thing of why Ty struggled at ND and all that kind of thing. So anyway, Notre Dame was on the cover of SI on this week, which would have been Monday, September 30th, 2002. So let's move ahead 2 days to October 2nd, 2002. I believe this was the second taping from the previous week, right, Steve? I don't think this was live. Was this one live?
Boy, it felt a lot different than last. I did not check that, but it felt a lot different than last week's in terms of the crowd going insane.
Yeah. No, it felt. It doesn't say it on ProWrestlingHistory.com whether it was taped or not. But it did. I mean, the crowd was pretty hot, so it might have been live. It might have been live. So. Let's do a champions recap. Your NWA champion is still the Truth Ron Killings. Your X Division champion is Jerry Lynn, and your tag team champions are still Chris Harris and James Storm. Technically, they're not called America's Most Wanted yet. Now, for the first time in our 14-show history, guys, we actually open with a promo, which I was a little skeptical about. Because one thing I was enjoying about the shows is that, we had a little TNA and West byplay, and then we got into the first match. But out comes Six Pac and BG James, who are going to be wrestling in the main event later on in the night. And Steve,
Hall of Famers, Six Pac and BG James.
That's right, Hall of Famers now. Would have thought, and in 2002, I don't think we thought either of them would be Hall of Famers.
After this promo, definitely Hall of Fame material.
Yes. So anyway, little recap, Steve. What do we gain from this promo?
We gained that BG James and Six Pac are together. Scott Hall is not there, and they're essentially calling out the group of Truth, Lawler, Jarrett, and Elix Skipper, mainly Truth and Jarrett though, for attacking them at the end of last week's episode. Truth comes out. Right before that, BG James refers to themselves as the White Kryptonite. So that's about where this promo is going. A lot of fifth grade. I would even say I said fifth grade rhyming, but I heard my second grade rhyming, putting together some rhymes in the car today. So I'm going to go second grade rhyming from BG James.
You mean you didn't like the smiggity smiggity smizzack, Steve?
No, or I'm a poet and I don't even know it. Truth and Jarrett are out. We still, and Lawler and Skipper sneak attack. I still don't understand why this group is together. They still have not stated why Jarrett and Truth are working together when Jarrett desperately wants the NWA title, why Jarrett and Lawler are together when they were killing each other for 3 consecutive weeks over Lawler's girlfriend. There was never any resolution on camera for that. This was not the Dups trash. This was just boring. It was just 10 minutes of boredom.
Yeah, he looks terrible. By the way, before we keep going on, Nate, he looks terrible. BG Six-Pac actually looks pretty good. In fact, I think he might be cycling at this point. But BG James, I mean, he looks fucking horrible. I mean, he looks like goo. I mean, it's you could definitely tell what he's not been doing, which is working out in the interim. But I just had to say that. Go ahead, Nate.
Yeah, this was not good. Like, we're still at the point where BG James is kind of getting back into shape, both in ring and on the mic, and he's not there yet. Eventually he gets there, but he's not there this week. And then there's like this other weird moment in the course of the promo where I believe, Steve, it's Six and BG that bring race into the conversation first.
Mm-hmm.
And then Truth brings up something like, I'm gonna, your silver spoon and your cracker asses or something like that. And then Six is like, why do we have to bring race into this, man?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't like again, like Scotty said, he might have been under the influence of something at that particular time. So maybe he didn't remember what he said 2 minutes prior. But like, you've got a bunch of unlikable people, and we're supposed to cheer for BG and Six. I'm not there yet with them. And then on the other side, you've got this group that doesn't make sense other than the fact that they're all heels. I don't know why Elix Skipper had to be a part of this. I don't know why Brian Lawler, rest in peace, but I don't know why he was a part of this company at this time, because he really didn't add anything to the promotion.
I agree. I mean, at least Jarrett and some of these other guys are actually, they're players and they're really working hard. Why does anybody give a fuck about Lawler? I mean, really, why do we care? Brings nothing to the table. He's not going to be in the X division.
Nope.
And he's certainly not going to be NWA champion. I'm sorry, not even Vince Russo's
unless
fucking
he brought
stupid.
his dad back like that. That's the only value for him at this point of his career.
Yes.
My only hope is that he's gone soon, because he doesn't seem like someone who's going to stick around.
Right.
That is my hope. We'll hopefully keep a watch on that. Maybe we're talking a couple more episodes. That is blind on my part.
Oh yeah, absolutely. No, I know. We'll see what happens. I mean, obviously, we're going to see some major additions to the roster also in even as early as before the end of this year, 2002, but definitely when we get into 2003, they definitely start fleshing some slugs out and start bringing in some guys. By the way, there were 2 dark matches before the show. Derek King beat Matt Longtime. Am I supposed to know who either of those guys are? No.
I don't know.
No, me neither. And the Kingpins beat Rick and Chris Michaels.
Wow.
No idea who any of them are either.
No.
All right, our first event, what do we get down to business here, Steve? A little X Division action here in the opener.
Yeah, speaking of debuts, we have Shark Boy, who was massively over with the crowd, so he must have been around the block already.
Yes.
Versus our now opening match stalwart, Amazing Red. I believe this is the 3rd consecutive week, perhaps, that he's been opening a match. Elix Skipper remained out with TNA and Don West, and within the opening introductions, the main event match, which was a 6-man between, was going to be a 6-man, but Hall's not there, so it was going to be Double J, Truth, and Elix Skipper. Is that right? Versus, it doesn't matter. It was going to be against Six and James, but Elix has been taken out of the match within about 1 minute of them announcing the match. So he starts complaining about being taken out, and he's like, "Hey, you know what? Maybe I agree with Ron Truth about the way things are going around here."
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, announcers are completely ignoring the match. It reminded me of WCW Nitro, for where they were just stuff was going on in the ring and no one really cared. Mortimer Plumtree comes out for the first of 4 times tonight, and I'll just say that now so we don't have to talk about him
saying
again.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, he is. Any match that an X Division competitor is in, he is out taking notes in the entranceway. What did you guys think of Shark Boy so far in this match?
I liked him. I thought he was good. Little background on him. He began training under Les Thatcher. Yes, yeah. He was found on Amity Island. Yeah, he was found on Amity Island. He trained under Les Thatcher in October of 95, debuted in May of 97 in his Heartland Wrestling Association as the masked El Piranha. So then he grew up in size. On May 19th, 1999, he wrestled at the second annual Brian Pillman Memorial Show, beating Matt Stryker, Tarek the Great, and Chip Fairway in a tournament and receiving a trophy. Chip Fairway, for those that don't know, was his name was Brett Keane. And, of course, Matt Stryker was not it was not Stryker, the teacher. It was the other Matt Stryker.
Eyebrow Stryker.
Eyebrow Stryker. I guess Al Snow, Mankind, and D'Lo Brown put Shark Boy in his shoulders after winning that tournament. So he was in WCW briefly, made several appearances on Saturday Night and Thunder, and he was released in early 2000. And then in 2002, early 2002, he competed for the WWA at their Revolution pay-per-view in Vegas. He was in a match with AJ Styles, Christopher Daniels, Low Key, Tony Mamaluke, and Nova. And Nova won the match, but I bet you that was kind of his tryout. And then, as we know, he eventually made it to TNA. So there's the background. Yep, there's the background. I like the match. I thought it was good. A Basic Red keeps working hard. Yeah.
I always thought Shark Boy had his spot on the card, Scott. He's never going to get above a certain level, but he's a good performer in the ring. He's got good comedy. The crowd was obviously into him. And this is even before he won that lawsuit against Shark Boy and Lava Girl, which to me makes him the biggest babyface ever.
Yes. Yeah. No, I thought it was a good match. The X Division needs to be boosted, as the roster in general needs to be boosted. No, I thought it was a solid opener. Your match time was 6:51. So a good little sprint to get the show going. After the match, though, Amazing Red gets jumped by the aforementioned Elix Skipper, and then he gets chased off by security. So Elix Skipper still making a name for himself, attacking the X Division wrestlers.
So real quick, two underrated moments of this match.
Yes.
Were when Elix was on commentary. It's like you have to really be paying attention for these things. Elix just goes, "What am I going to tell my wife when I come home with no money tonight?" It's taking up for the match, not coming home with the paycheck. Yeah. Good paying attention there. The second part is when all the security comes in, one of the scrubs drops his wallet. So then he gets hit by Skipper. So he's on the mat, sees his wallet, playing that he's dead, then reaches over, grabs his wallet. So then he has to stand up again, and then a few dollar bills fall out of his wallet onto the mat. So he's desperately trying to pick up his Abraham Lincoln and George Washington. Did you guys see that or?
That one I didn't catch, but I caught the money.
He dumped his wallet on the ground. Yeah, I was picking up the money. It was hilarious. It was so TNA.
Yeah, it absolutely was. We get an interview backstage with Low Key, and then we actually have a kind of a Low Key vignette, which was very nice. Building up to this, which was our first of all three. By the way, all three titles were on the line tonight. I think that's the first time in our history, in the brief history that of the shows, that all the belts were on the line in one night. I'm pretty sure it's the first time. And they go in reverse. Our world title match is first, Steve, and it is.
It is Truth who came out and said, "Low Key, let's do this right now." Low Key is going for the title, and Truth, and so right away they go after each other. Now I'm trying to remember how this came up, because they were doing more of the Truth and Jerry Lynn angle, because Low Key came to Jerry Lynn's aid during match. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But so anyway, Low Key and Truth. Truth is take that low key. Low key comes out. Crowd is molten for low key.
Yes.
It felt at this part that Borash and company were kind of feeding some of the chants, because all of a sudden the crowd is chanting overrated at Truth.
Yeah.
And later on in the show, you can see Borash trying to get the crowd going. Low key immediately one of the best spots when they got out of the ring is Low key went to springboard off the railing. Truth kicked him off into some schlub in the second row.
Yep.
Landed on the guy's head. That was awesome.
Yep.
And just really started brawling in the crowd, and Truth threw Low key into the stage. There was a road case conveniently placed, on the mat. So Truth pushed that into Low key, which I think might have cut Low key's hand open. At some point when he got in the ring, he was bleeding from somewhere.
Yes, I wasn't sure where. Yeah.
Yeah, Truth kind of wrapped up Low key in a leg lock, stretching him out a little bit. Crowd is still going nuts at this point, chanting overrated and going for Low key. Capo kick after Truth started doing some dancing, and Dragon Sleeper in the ropes. There's a missed 450 by Truth. Came back and did kind of a modified muscle buster where he dropped him on his shoulder. Eventually, Truth powers out of his sleeper and hits what was, I don't know exactly what they called it, but it was a top rope gourd buster that won it for Truth. And man, if this crowd keeps going like this, they are going to be dead. I hope this was the second episode, because if it's not the second episode, by the end of episode 16, there are going to be bodies on the ground, because they just, you look at the crowd, they don't have the wind to keep this going.
No, they don't. But I thought this match was a lot of fun. Your match time 12:56, so good length for a world title match. Even more than Low key. I mean, I don't know what you thought of this of him in the match overall, but I gotta say, guys, my opinion, and we've said this a few times. Ron Killings, when he's challenged by a guy with really good work rate and a really good skill, can really put on a pretty good match, at least at this point in 2002. And I thought the same thing here. And Low key's the kind of guy that his kind of an interesting hybrid, and he can settle into any kind of a match. And I was really impressed by this. I've been really enjoying his Ron Killings' reign as champion so far, Nate.
Yeah, I thought this was the best match of his title reign so far. I think Low key, it helps that Low key is not only great in the ring, but he's consistently one of the most over baby faces on the show. So you had that good contrast with the fans. And I think it also helps that Truth didn't have to be in there with somebody like Amani Brown, who was green. And, he didn't have to be the guy to steer the ship. It was more of a collaborative effort with Low key. And so, yeah, I thought this was a really good match. It put Truth over, but it still kept Low key strong. And I think both guys came out of this match, in a better position.
Yeah, I don't know what it is, but at least the company knows how to get these good matchups in. Yes, we do have a few slugs on the roster right now, and unfortunately we, I think as they when the company started and when they built the roster, I think they wanted a lot of names just to play it safe, but then they realized, wow, we got some good talent at the mid card here. Maybe we don't need as many slugs as we have. So I think it's good to see as we get to the end of 2002 and into 2003 that TNA does kind of thin the herd out a little bit, and we get some better talent. So, what are your thoughts on Killings' reign at this point, Steve? Do you think that he's getting that they're getting the best out of him with these matchups?
I do. The only thing I think that he is overexposed on perhaps is the mic, and I think he's great on the mic. But after this match, he is doing his third promo within the first 40 minutes of the show.
Yep.
And they don't need to do that. So, he really didn't even need to come out during the opening segment. But in terms of match quality, I like what you said, if they have him out with people who are talented, but really they could put him in with anybody in the X division. I think I said this an episode or two ago, that the Truth can work the X division style. He fits right in with these guys. Yeah. And if you put him in, you can throw him in with the Maximos. You can throw him in with Jimmy Yang. Jerry Lynn. He's had a great match with. Any of them, he can roll. Especially at this time, he's an incredible athlete.
He really is. Obviously, things get a little worse depending on his opponent, but that one was at the moment, they're having him face like the cream of the crop in the division and in the company, and he's doing very well. So Ron Killings retains the NWA World Title with a win over Low-Ki. Was there something in the middle here, Steve, or do we go right to the next match?
Well, yeah, we had a very brief. Some dude who looked overweight was in a white mask and all white outfit. Jumped into the ring and attacked Truth. Well, who is it? Who knows? Who cares? Will it even be revealed in the next couple of weeks? And it's kind of very similar to the Who's in the Bullet outfit from a few weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
Obvious race baiting once again.
I wonder if this was the compromise to the proposed KKK angle Vince Russo pitched a week or so ago.
Yeah.
He's like, okay, so he can't be in a robe. Okay, listen, bro. How about a white sweatshirt, a pullover, and instead of a hood, we'll just have a white ski mask.
Ridiculous. Utterly ridiculous.
You know what, Nate? That is highly probable. I would say
dumb shit.
85% chance. 85% chance that's it.
Dumb
in
fucking
that short
shit.
Of a time. In that short of a time. Yeah.
That's crazy. That is utterly crazy. The best Vince Russo ideas are yet to come, but that's not one of them, clearly. All right, Steve, our next match.
Our next match is a number one contenders match to qualify for a bout next week against the tag team champions. It's SATs versus the remaining Flying Elvises, Jimmy Yang, Jorge Estrada. Pretty cool that the X division is going to now be taking on the heavyweight tag champs. We've seen the X division go up against the singles title holders, as I mentioned, the match against Jerry Lynn. They mentioned that Jimmy Yang is back from Japan. We were wondering where he was the last few weeks. He was in All Japan Wrestling, and he was tagging with our old buddy Kaz CW and International fame, and they won the All Japan Junior Tag Team Tournament. This match, I tried to take notes, but it was way too fast to put down any sort of moves to paper. We got Mortimer out again. Okay. There really wasn't. There really isn't a way to write down all the moves that took place. There was a really cool basement dropkick powerbomb combination by the SATs, and of course, Sonny Siaki comes out and continues his feuding with the Elvises. For some reason, he jumps up to tag. Like, I don't know why Jorge Estrada thought it would be a good idea in a tag team match to tag the guy who hates him, made him cry because he burned his Elvis jumpsuit. And of course, Siaki jumps down. The Maximos give him what I could only, it's the Maximo exposure, they said. I can only describe it as a doomsday device DDT to pin Jorge Estrada. This was really fun. It was really fast. I hated the finish.
I didn't like the finish either. I know that they're trying to push the whole Sonny Siaki breaking up the Elvises thing. I just didn't like the way it seemed very clunky at the end.
It made the Elvises look like idiots.
Yeah.
Like, why would you trust this guy after everything he's done? It did. It took away from a pretty fun match. And this, up to this point in the show, like, all of the in-ring stuff has been really, really good.
Yeah, no, I agree. And the match itself was fun, and I like the Maximos. And I don't know if you could say that there's more deserving tag teams at the moment, but you know what? They've worked pretty hard since the beginning. I think one title shot doesn't hurt. So we'll see what happens.
And it's a much better alternative than the tag match we'll get later.
Oh God Almighty!
Oh,
yeah,
geez.
that's getting out of hand. That's getting out of hand. So the Maximos win, and they will get a title shot. And of course, this all comes down to after this match, Sonny Siaki's with. Did you have anything else, Steve? On this
No.
match? You're
No,
like, nah.
I'm just trying to keep up with the breakneck pace of the show.
Yeah, it is a breakneck pace, isn't it? And Sonny Siaki's backstage with Goldilocks, and then he gets jumped by Jerry Lynn, our X Division champion. Of course, we'll see him a little bit later on this evening. Do we go? Does Siaki go right into the ring here, Steve?
Yeah, Siaki and Jerry fight. AJ comes out, kind of jokingly holds Jerry Lynn and is like, Sonny, don't attack him. That's not nice. And so they lay Jerry out. It's the same kind of tired pattern had of jumping the champion before the title defense. They did that a couple times with Jerry. They did it pretty much every Ken Shamrock match. So they will. Jerry Lynn has a match later on with AJ. So Sonny has come out to interfere in the Elvises. Then he went backstage. Now he has come out again, and this is So Truth did this as well, but Sonny is out for the third time in just a couple minutes. Music, new outfit, and he is against David Young, who has also apparently returned from Japan. I don't know if he was wrestling out there. Maybe he just took a trip.
He was sightseeing.
Yeah,
He was trolling around.
I can't imagine that he was in a junior tag team match. So
no.
Apparently he left Bobcat. Maybe she's still in Tokyo. And Sonny Siaki versus David Young without Bobcat. I'm assuming, as I went into this, it was going to be an extended squash match to kind of get over Siaki's full transformation. But it's not. It's like a 50-50 match with a guy who's only been in one match and had a weird valet. Sonny Siaki completely has stopped the Rock impersonation. Young, like I said, got way more offense than expected. And Young with a spine buster, which apparently is his finishing move, but he stood up and hesitated. I don't know why he hesitated. Then he decided to go for a moonsault, which missed terribly, and Siaki hit his money clip neckbreaker to get the win. This was, for me, the first match which kind of took a step back from the first three matches that we all said were pretty good in ring.
Yeah, to me, Scotty, like David Young can be a good worker. Like I've seen some pretty solid David Young matches, but for him to try to do the flippy stuff when we've already had three matches that were pretty solid in terms of flippy stuff, right. I thought this would have been a time on the card for a change of pace.
I might have actually I would have probably shifted around things here. I would have put the Maximo, these two matches back to back, but I would have taken maybe the tag from earlier in the show and stick that further up. But and maybe shifted things around, maybe had Low Key and Killings later on to kind of move things around a little bit. But by the way, Steve, I don't know if you're noticing, Seton Hall has missed 11 shots in a row. And with 10:18 to go in the game, Georgetown's got it down to 16. So I know it's not great, but but it's getting close. So we'll see. Yeah. It's doing things outside Andrew Reach's hammock. So anyway, the reason we're talking about this, Nate, is because the winner plays Steve's beloved Marquette tomorrow in the Big East semis. Who do you like in the SEC tournament, Nate?
That's a good question.
I like LSU.
LSU's solid. I don't know why, but and maybe it's because of the aforementioned Pat Summitt, but I've always had a soft spot for Tennessee basketball. Even when your man Bruce Pearl was out there. But I think LSU's going to be a tough out.
Yeah, I think so too. Anyway, Georgetown's on a 12-0 run, and they got the lead down to 14, so we'll see. Anyway, yeah, I mean, it's a weird situation at the moment because the roster is. You know what? I'm going to hold off on that comment till we get to the end of the show because I have a comment about the roster talent in general. But I want to wait till we finish the end of the show because it has a lot to do with the main event guys and everything. So Sonny Siaki wins in 6'10". I thought David Young had a good performance. Maybe Bobcat should be a commentator with Don West and TNA. She can't be worse than Ed Ferrara. In any event. We go backstage, Steve, for this exemplary tag team. Did they take the internet from him again?
Fine. Oh, I'm here.
There he is.
Oh, there you are.
Yeah.
He had to go change real quick and put on a fake mustache and grab his boomerang.
Yes.
That's right.
Yeah.
I thought he had to put on his onesie.
This promo and this match cemented my belief that the Harris brothers are my least favorite wrestlers of all time.
Yeah.
So Ron is in the back. They were supposed to have the rematch with the other Harris and Storm, but Brian Lee is not there. Some guy named Ashley Hudson with like you said, a boomerang and a mustache is with him, and they said, hey, Brian Lee cost him the title. So I picked up this random guy off the street from Australia. Clearly Brian Lee had enough of this promotion and just walked out. I mean, that's the only possible actual explanation. So apparently Ashley Hudson's Ron Harris's new tag team partner. When Goldilocks tries to answer a question, Ron tells her to, quote, shut up, bitch. So yeah, that was class, pure class from our second favorite white supremacist next to Don. That actually kind of took me out of the match, to be honest. I was just like, why am I watching this? This is awful. And yeah, even with the first half hour, 40 minutes, pretty decent. And then, of course, you have to go to the ring, and then you get stuck with a Ron Harris and Ashley Hudson match. Mike Tenay claims that he's one of the new Bushwhackers, which I didn't even know was a thing. One thing I noticed in this match was stuck out to me is that James Storm was a little less goofy. He both in the ring and coming towards the ring. The backstage promos and coming to the ring like pretending he's smoking guns in 1993. Not happening. It was a little more serious. Tenay and West saying that he thinks that Harris and Storm not getting any respect still. The champs defeated. So Harris and Storm start up with a lot of double team maneuvers. They really were in control for most of the match until Storm goes up to the top rope and Ron trips him. Hudson and down Storm, right? I did notice that the girl in the pink shirt and bandana has been in the front row, has just been super excited all show long. She has not stopped chanting. I applaud her. She brought more interest in this match to me than the actual match itself. Eventually, Harris gets tagged in, hot tag, and there's miscommunication between Hudson and Harris, which leads to the pin, like a really fast count for some reason. Maybe the ref needed to get out of there as well. But yeah, this was a nothing match. Ashley Hudson brought nothing to this match. I wonder if the guy was just backstage and Bradley no-showed, so they just had to throw him out there. So, of course, Ron Harris destroys Hudson after the match, which was the least surprising backstab of all time. And then started just hitting chair shots to everybody. Don Harris eventually comes out. He punches his brother in the face. So, the Don and Ron Harris feud. And, of course, that will be like 2 weeks, and then they'll become a tag team, I'm sure. Start beating everybody up, and then they'll do the little double choke slam thing, and that will be a segment every week of Impact or TNA, whatever the hell this is. I hate the Harris brothers.
Why he's being pushed so hard is beyond me. They're not doing Harris and Storm any favors.
No.
He's a fucking terrible wrestler. I was waiting for
at least.
Yeah. I was waiting for Tiny Kangaroo to start. Tiny Kangaroo, Tiny Kangaroo, or whatever Outback Jack's theme was. Yeah, this is a mess, as is this game. Seton Hall's back up 18. Gresh, good luck tomorrow, Steve. Yeah, I mean, this isn't doing Harris and Storm any favors, Nate. None at all.
No. At this point, they should have transitioned them away from this feud, quote unquote, and had them wrestling teams like the Maximos or the Elvises, or even the Naturals or the Hot Shots. Where at least you're going to get a decent match quality.
Or even that Punk tag team. What was it? Punk and the other guy when they were in that the gauntlet thing. Yeah, they were fine teams.
Yeah.
You should have kept a lot of these guys around,
But we had to get Jeff Jarrett's drinking buddies a payday on this show. And yeah, this didn't work for me. This match started the steady decline in the quality of the show. And then we also had the setup for this Harris Brothers feud that nobody asked for.
Right.
Yeah,
at
because
least you get Harrison Storm versus the SATs next week. But man, I don't look ahead, but I just have this suspicion that Ron's going to come out and start bashing everyone with chairs.
It's not good. It's not good right now. I mean, it's Harris and Storm obviously are guys that they're really banking on for the future, and you're just giving them two pieces of shit after another. We have some random fucking guy in an Outback Jack outfit. Tiny Kangaroo down, Tiny Kangaroo. One of the most forgotten fucking Federation era themes. So there you go.
Yeah, let's just move on.
Yeah. James Storm and Chris Harris retain the tag team titles. And let's pray that, maybe it gets better. Maybe it gets better. We have an interview backstage. The Elvises and Jerry Lynn, Steve.
Yeah, the Elvises are pretty much just consoling Jerry Lynn in the back, trying to get him hyped up to say Jerry Lynn hurting his neck in the backstage attack, and just tell him to get ready. And that will immediately go right into the ladder match for the X Division AJ Styles versus Jerry Lynn, and the feud of the year, in my opinion. And boy, how are we going to call this one? Because this match completely turned the show around from being in a piece of garbage to amazing. I didn't like the finish, as we'll talk about, but the actual in-ring action was incredible.
Yeah. No, it absolutely was. These two guys, I'm still loving. I'm still loving. AJ's frat boy douche look, which would be stolen by Randy Orton the following year, and would have it for the next 4 years. Obviously, AJ needs to be pushed. Let's talk. Well, when we finish talking about the match, I got an interesting comparison to bring up about this. So, Nate, if you have any, go ahead. If you have your analysis, go ahead.
Just that, this match is really good. It's impossible for them to have a bad match. The question is, can the company get out of its own way?
Mm-hmm.
Because the way that they resolve this thing makes no sense, and it makes not only Jerry Lynn look bad, but it makes the leadership in this company, the fictional leadership in the world of this story that they're telling, look stupid.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, no, I agree with that. What do you think, Steve?
Yeah, I agree, because this was at least a 4-star match for me until the end. At one point in my notes, I said, "Is this?" Jerry Lynn is always known for the RBD match, because the RBD series, because that was just seen by more people at the time. And I was wondering if these ladder matches that we've had over the last couple of weeks, bringing in Low-Ki, it's like, man, this is a better match, that type of match than the RVD and Jerry Lynn series to me. There were some incredibly original spots. One of the first ones that they did, which I could not believe, they had the ladder was kind of crammed into the corner post, and Jerry Lynn was on the floor, and he drop kicked the ladder, which made the ladder spin in a circle and hit AJ right in the head. It was never seen that before. I don't think I've ever seen it again. They're so good together. There was even a moment where the ladder was slipping when AJ was going to do a tornado DDT off of it, and AJ noticed it and just kind of came to a halt to protect Jerry from getting killed. And that allowed Jerry Lynn to do his kind of like twisting sunset flip into a powerbomb like on the ladder. It was incredible balance. This is a violent match, and to be able to protect your opponent in a dangerous situation is to be lauded.
I don't want to go too deep down this rabbit hole. I just want to I want to quietly, not quietly, but I want to discuss it here briefly, and then we're going to get more into it as we move along. But would it be safe to say, and I'll give it to you, Nate, first, since this is your boy. I almost feel like TNA is treating AJ in 2002 the way the NWA treated Sting in 87, 88.
Yeah, on a smaller scale, where the only difference is, and while I like Jerry Lynn a lot, particularly in this time frame, in ring he's got a rival, but the character stuff is not there in terms of a guy like a Ric Flair or a guy like even a Lex Luger, like the 88, 89 Luger, when I think that might have been the peak of Lex Luger for me. Where Luger had a good character and actually put on some decent matches. But you can very much tell that AJ is the guy that they're setting up as the franchise. Like, Jerry Lynn's the veteran. Low-Ki is the most popular guy in the company, I think, right now. Truth is your champ. You got Jarrett and his whole WCW revival tour going, but AJ's the guy that they're building for the long run. And ultimately it worked, but there was a lot of stuff they could have done better along the way.
Yeah. And I mean, we'll document it as we go forward, because 2003 ends up being a big year for AJ. But this could have been another maybe half star for me. Except the last time I checked, ladder matches don't end in disqualifications.
Yeah,
I mean,
the finish.
What is this, fucking Georgia? What is this, fucking Mid-South? I mean, come on. This is the best they could do for an ending? Come on.
Yeah.
Yeah, so just to talk about the ending, so, for the listeners, Sonny Siaki's out for the fourth time. He's just standing at ringside. He hops up onto the apron. Jerry Lynn tries to knock him off, does a dive off the second rope onto him. AJ does a springboard to the floor, like a 360, just killed Jerry Lynn. Then AJ climbed up to get the belt to win the X division. This is a second, the story is great right here. If they end it right here, it starts a Jerry Lynn, Sonny Siaki feud, so you can kind of separate Jerry and AJ for a little bit, because they've had the story going on for 15 episodes now. It's the second time Sonny's cost him a belt, because Sonny Siaki cost Jerry Lynn in the R-Truth match from winning the belt.
Right.
And so you think, okay, that's where they're going. AJ's got the X Division title. Maybe he'll start a one-on-one series with Low-Ki or something. And Jerry's going to move on to Sonny Siaki. But nope. Bob Armstrong comes out and decides, hey, because Sonny Siaki was starting to nail people after the match, and AJ, they were teaming up to beat everyone up. And he says, you know what? You're not calling the shots around here. You don't get to do things your way. I'm in charge. I'm old, I'm white, I'm an Armstrong. And he takes the belt and just says, I'm giving it back to Jerry Lynn. Man, I don't know. Least favorite, but the Armstrongs are quickly moving up between BGJ, the pasty ref, Bob. Yeah, so a DQ finish. Like, is it even a DQ? Is it a no contest? It's a ladder match for the guy who won the match does not get to keep the title. But hey, Chris Rock's going to be at the show next week.
That joke.
Yeah.
Hey, man. Yeah, I mean, you're taking good workers and good wrestlers and just totally fucking around everybody's head. I like that. I'm old and I'm white. And I'm an Armstrong.
When we get to Don West, like when he goes into Lance Wright Hype Central mode,
and he goes into Carney mode,
promotes next week's show. That's when I was like, oh, I'd much rather be watching next week's show. It sounds so good. Like we get the rematch for the ladder match with AJ and Jerry. We get Low Key defending against Tony Mamaluke, Kid Cash, and Ace Steel. We get the tag match with Harrison Storm and the Maximos, and as Steve mentioned, we get Chris Rock. So, like, why am I watching this Harris Brothers soap opera when I could be watching next week's show?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if someone who's listening wants to watch this show, first of all, God bless you. We love you. But even if you're interested in TNA just a little bit at this time period, watch that match, the AJ Jerry Lynn match, because it is a microcosm of TNA in general.
Mm-hmm.
Just a blowaway match
with
a completely overbooked, messed up ending. It is just straight TNA. But seriously, it is a 4+ star match until the ending.
Yep, I agree. Unfortunately, Steve, Nate, the show does not end here.
No,
we kind of wish it did. Unfortunately, and we've said that multiple times when we've recapped TNA. We wish it was the ending, and it's not.
I mean, speaking of a 4-star match, this next match has 4 stars, Scotty.
Yes, it does.
1 star for one for each.
We
1-star
got
workers
BG
together make 4.
BG James and Six-Pac against Jeff Jarrett, Brian Lawler, and Elix Skipper is at ringside?
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yep.
Yeah, he was supposed to be in the match. Just an awful promo from BG James and Six-Pac again.
Yeah.
You can, if you're scoring at home and you want to know the standards and practices of pay-per-view in the day, you can say bitch once. No, twice, because we got the Harris ones. And you can say it one more time, but after that, every bitch has to be bleeped. So 2 bitches in one show, but the next 4, everything after that has to be bleeped out. X-Pac is, or I can't, a Six-Pac in this iteration, basically saying that he's banging Brian Lawler's girlfriend behind his back.
It's the weirdest thing, Steve, because he's like, you should be ashamed of yourself for treating your girlfriend terribly and putting your hands on her. And if you continue to abuse her, I'll continue to sleep with her behind your back.
Yeah, like I've been doing this whole time.
I don't think that's how helping people works, Six-Pac.
No, I don't. Man, if so, I'm doing it all wrong.
Goldilocks and the Six-Pac.
Yeah, Scott. Keep Six-Pac as far away from Goldilocks as possible.
Yeah, pretty much. Oh my God.
All right, I will quickly go down this because this is just terrible.
It's awful.
I'll start off by saying the positive. I can't believe I'm going to say this because I'm not a Jeff Jarrett fan, but if you put Jarrett and Six-Pac in a one-on-one matchup, I think it would have been okay.
Yep.
Because when they matched up together, there was 2 times that they were in one-on-one together in the ring, and it was pretty good. when Lawler and BG James squared up. Oh my God.
Not good.
No.
He couldn't take the X Factor, Lawler. He screwed that up. I don't know how you screw up that move. All you have to do is fall down.
I know.
So Elix Skipper comes out. He ends up hitting Six-Pack with his own X Factor. At this point in the match, I wrote down I have zero interest in this match, and I've resorted to scrolling through Instagram. I don't even remember that happening, but I clearly wrote it down.
And the crazy part about that, Scotty, is Instagram was still down. So he would rather scroll through a broken app than watch the match.
Yes.
I'm all caught up. I'm not caught up. I'm really not.
He's recording it on Stickam.
First he went to Instagram, yeah. Then he checked his tout to see if there were any new hot posts from the WWE.
Make sure you have a working camera. I heard
So-
that, you know.
So we have Lawler below the X Factor, right? Then you have BG James doing his punches. His infamous like little woogity woogity woo, and he's completely whiffing on him. They're not even close.
Oh, they're bad.
And then like eventually he does a double headbutt with Lawler. I think it was Lawler and Jarrett. They don't even come close to knocking heads. He can't even like do a Three Stooges bit right. Then he does a just shitty pump handle slam, which is I still believe is one of the worst finishers of all time. You just basically set up something just to make him fall down 3 feet. And then we get another post-match beatdown with Lawler. The Truth comes out as well, so it's the four of them. Then Red and the SATs come out. I don't know why. I don't know why they are involved in this all of a sudden. But they decide to give a Spanish fly to Elix. And I guess if Truth and Lawler and Jarrett can be together, why can't the SATs come out? So then you have your chair shots and belt shots and purse shots for some reason. Just an absolute mess. And then that's pretty much where we go off the air with the SATs and your NWO DX Light getting beaten up.
Yeah.
Direct.
All right. So here was the comment I wanted to make about the roster, and then we'll do final grades and get out of here. The roster top to bottom, when you really look at it, is really pretty good. It's actually not bad. When it comes to work rate, who we really ripped? Lawler,
and
BG James, and the Harrises.
Yep.
And that's
all the old
it.
guys.
all the fucking guys that shouldn't be wrestling anymore.
Yeah.
So in the grand scheme of things, the roster's really not that bad.
No.
They got a lot of talent on this roster. This team of guys, I should say, is really good. So they're just not matched up right now. And that's a problem. And there's definitely of guys that are filling up holes that could be used for better guys.
Yeah, and there's a weird flow to this show. The pacing was okay, but having guys go back and then come out and cut promo and go backstage and then come out and interfere and then come out for their own match. They did it with Truth. They did it with Siaki. The SATs were involved in stuff like that several times. That stuff doesn't need to happen. You don't have
to be fair, Steve, I do believe that all the TNA contracts at this time were pay per appearance. So, let me come out and talk, then I'll walk backstage, then I'll come back out. That's 2 checks.
Mortimer's got 4 checks. He's just hanging out in the gorilla position and peeks his head out every match and is like, dang, that's another $25.
Oh my God.
All right. 1 to 10, Steve.
Have we been keeping track of these at all?
I'm actually
I don't
gonna, I'm going to go back and
think so.
listen. I am going to go back and
Okay.
make it, though. I will go back and make it. I just thought of that myself when I just asked that. Yeah.
I am going to say a 5. I was thinking 5.5, but I'm going to go down 5 just because we don't have the really bad stuff anymore. But the opening segment, the last segment, the middle segment was just like that's 1 or 2 quality, and then we got some pretty good 6, 7, and 8 stuff going on in there too. So I'll give them the benefit of the doubt and just say 5 right down the middle. Yeah, it's a hard one.
Yeah.
No?
The problem here is that there's an 8 show in here.
Yeah.
Like there's a solid 8 in here if you trim some of the fat, clean up some of the finishes, tighten up some of the booking decisions. But because they didn't do that, I can't go any higher than a 6.
Mm-hmm.
And that's mainly for the wrestling on the first half of the show. When you got the Maximos and the Elvises, when you got Truth and Low Key, which other than AJ and Jerry was the best match on the card. Even the opener was a decent little match. But then when you get to the Harris brothers and you get to this disaster of a main event, it really drags the show down. And I think there's a spot for somebody like a BG James, but right now being in ring is not the spot. Like that should have been something we saved until he was in shape enough to do what they needed him to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm going to give this a 6 as well, because I just think the talent is really good, but the matchups just are not there, and there needs to be some fat to be trimmed, and I have a feeling we'll start seeing that as we get to the end of 02 and to the beginning of 03. But a lot of fat in a white hoodie that needs to be trimmed. We got to trim the white hoodie fat. Yeah. No, I am gonna look back. I thought I had a grid, but I don't. I thought I started one. But I'm gonna go back and listen to our episodes of our pay-per-view recap and see if I don't know if we did a grade for every.
I don't think so, but yeah,
no,
we can do
but
it.
I will. The ones we did do, I will mark down and we'll start keeping track of them.
I'm gonna do you one better, and I'm just gonna go back and rewatch every episode.
You sadist. All right, gentlemen, excellent show in the books. And you guys, we've earned a Sid week off. I'm giving you the night off. We will not be back in 2 weeks. We'll be back in 3 weeks because we are coming up, of course, on the fortnight to the biggest weekend of the year in wrestling. So we'll be back in 3 weeks with our mega WrestleMania weekend preview. We will talk WrestleMania. We will talk NXT TakeOver. We'll briefly talk about the Hall of Fame, but let's be honest, the class this year is really not that great. And, Steve, we will get into the big MSG show, the Ring of Honor and New Japan. We'll have some great guests. We'll have a nice loaded card. And we will do back-to-back weeks because we, of course, have to do the post-mortem show the following week and go over everything, including Raw and SmackDown, and see what the future holds for the rest of the year, or what the corner turns, the page turns. So, again, listen to all the great shows on the Pop feed and on the Wrestling feed, the Greatest Candy Tournament, etc., etc. For Brother Nate, for Brother Steve, I am Brother Scott. You have been in the main event. Enjoy the next 2 weeks off. We will see you and hear us right before WrestleMania. Enjoy.
Hey, Steve Willie.
Hey, Nate.
Here's something to think about for the next couple of weeks, my friend. What if the guy that attacked Truth wasn't supposed to be a racist? Maybe he wasn't a really bad racist. Maybe he was just a really bad Storm Shadow cosplayer, and he was a big G.I. Joe fan.
I don't know. That closure, you kind of came out snake eyes.
the code name for America's daring, highly trained Special Mission Force. Its purpose, to defend human freedom against Cobra, a ruthless terrorist organization determined to rule the world.